Also, here we are again. Hopefully you can see my screen still. It's finished loading now. We've got some, I've just got back on my screen exactly what we had before. So as you can see, as I was explaining, and as you can see, we can just start to build up the model very, very simple. Something that did close during that process was the 3D view, so we just need to bring that back up and realign all of the details. As we mentioned before, we just need to bring back the roof, and then I'm just going to cut the back wall off just so we can start to see the details inside. So you can see we've added just some shelves. We can actually move the shelves around in 3D if we wanted to. We can do whatever we want. I'm just in fact we haven't looked at that. If we just go back to the 3D, reorientate the building and pull it back and pull the front, we can just look at what that back shelf looks like. So you can see there we've just got a back little coffee table or whatever you want to call it. In fact, maybe we want to use that as the reception desk. There are a number of different types of desks that we can use, or we can create our own with different work surfaces and finishes, but just trying to make it nice and simple. Maybe this back room here would be the reception or the office, the staff office. So maybe we want the maybe in our real world shop, maybe that would actually be the till and the counter just here. So people come in, they do their shopping, and they go to the counter. Maybe these trees, maybe we want these just over here, and then we've got our just to block that, and then we've got our counters maybe all the way around. We're just going to do some copies, so we're just going to copy these, and we're just going to start placing them around the building. So I'll just quickly place these, just do a quick placement. We can put as many or as little as these in as we want. Obviously there are different types if we want to rotate it, because we know obviously that was on a different wall. We just hit the rotate button and rotate it by 90 degrees or whatever we need just there. So again, we're just going to delete that, copy across. So there's a copy command, just go by the central point and just start moving things across. Or we can use the Control-C, Control-V as we would with most computer programs. Control-C, Control-V, that just moves it across and we just place it wherever we want. And we can see quite a nice little handy function that we've actually got built in is the guidance lines that just appear, and they are just guidance, they disappear as soon as we place. So just Control-C, Control-V, and we just start placing things around. And there we have it. There we have it. It might be that we actually want to add a counter at the back still. We may want to add a couple of counters maybe. I don't know how. We can use our snap commands. I don't know, two counters. We might want to get rid of that. We might want to move all of this down, so we can just quite simply click Control, plus them all, get them all in our selection window and move them down. And then if we go to our 3D view now to see what this looks like, we can then start to see how this is all built up in our 3D view. And there we can see it. You can see we've got shelvings on the wall, we've got slope shelving just for the purpose of this. That's what I've decided to put in. We can see we've just got some counters at the back. Maybe on top of there would have some jeans, or and on the side walls maybe this is our t-shirts. We could then start to add racks and various other things in the central islands, or whatever we wanted to. Maybe we could start adding tills and various things onto the top here. And obviously once we've finished all that, we can then start to add final finishings. We can then we could add a ceiling if we wanted to. We can add that at any point. We could even start to detail up another level and start to show a roof level if that's what we wanted to do. At the moment the roof level is quite pitched into quite a small area. We could change that. We could change the roof type if needed. We could add dormer roof. We could add windows or whatever we wanted to in that roof area. Anything we wanted. We can add toilets. But so we can build it up as we want. We can kind of become our own interior designers and start to play around with how things look. Once we've done that and we've got our layout, we can then start to add items. What we'd have to do to add the items, which is quite a long process, is we'd have to create these files. So the files that I showed earlier, all of these, we'd have to create brand new files for the items in individual. we do a very similar process to what we've done here. Rather than just building construction walls, we just build fabric walls or whatever for a t-shirt. So we build the outline in fabric. We then apply textures and materials to that, colors. Once we've built that, that then turns it into 3D, or we turn it into 3D by giving it a depth, and then it creates, we can save that as an individual file. And once we've done that, we can then bring that file into our overall 3D element. So then at that point, we could actually have it hanging on a hanger in the central aisle. I haven't got any to show you. It'll take quite a long time to build up, but you can start to see how some of these bigger items can be created. And therefore, it's the same principle with t-shirts, jeans, and final items such as that. So what we could then do, we can then use this model that we've built by using the camera tool to start to look at generating 3D renders. So we've already got our 3D view here. So all we have to do is go into our settings and hit to render. There's a few different ways we can render. We can either render direct in the program. We can render in the cloud. So rendering in the cloud actually creates a 3D panorama, and it puts it in our Autodesk Revit online cloud so that we can have all different users go in and have a look, or we can just put it in our own internal gallery. For this process, I'm not going to render. There's a number of reasons why. We have no electrical power, which means we have no lighting. So what will happen is when we try and render this, it will show as a completely dark space. So we'd have to start looking at adding lighting, which therefore means we need to start adding power and various other things before we do the full and final render. Once we've rendered, we could then use computer gaming software, and the next step for me would be to look at that gaming software, and we could start to animate all of the items. Because these are individual items, when they render, they are still items. So we could then start to look at how do we select that item, and how can we move that item around in the real world gaming environment. So as we walk in, we can render this in a 3D headset type environment, whether that's VAR or whether that's Oculus Rift. I have put this on an Oculus Rift before. So if we was to put that into a piece of gaming software, whichever software that was chosen, we could then look at selecting individual t-shirts and saying, okay, I'm going to pick that t-shirt up and I'm going to spin it around. Because it's a full 3D object, there's no reason why we couldn't spin. But that would have to be done in a piece of gaming software. This software, Revit, is only the base outline function. So hopefully that gives you a brief overview of Revit 2020 and how we can start to build up the shop detail. I will send through a brief sketch of what the floor plate looks like for this particular shop and what we've got. But this is very basic and just gives you a very basic outline. And with a little bit more time and detail and effort, we could go into a lot more principle. We could drop some more shelving around, as I said, and we could make it look a bit more like a shop. So thank you for listening. I hope it all goes well, and I hope we can maybe further this one day into the gaming environment and see how far we can take it. Thanks all. Thanks, bye.